that's actually Jeff's.
Oh, that's Jeff's. Oh.
Rich was racing.
And that's his Prius.
We are gathered here for a very bittersweet day, and I'm going to put the emphasis on the sweet because it's so wonderful to see everybody. Did you want to say something to me?
No, I want to say something.
Yeah. I'm going to just let Judy jump right in here before I even start.
I just wanted to thank all of you for coming. And Rich and I were the loves of each other's lives, and this is the hardest thing I think I've ever experienced. But what makes it really better, I guess, is all the people who loved Rich that are here to celebrate him, and I'm really grateful that you came. I guess that's all it is.
Thanks, Judy. What could I follow that with? Except that I do want to thank Renee Janton for playing the harp for us so beautifully at the beginning. That was really just a perfect beginning. So I don't think I have to tell everybody about wearing masks and social distancing. That's something that's become part of our everyday life here on Kauai, and we certainly do not want to be the center of criticism over this event. So please do respect others, and if somebody comes up to you and asks you to put a mask on, just do it, okay? It would be very helpful. This is a zero-waste event, and we're going to make sure that we try to recycle everything we can. And I think you'll get some directions back at the food table. We're going to be seated until we eat, and then each table will be directed to go to the food table separately so that we can have an even flow kind of and not have everybody at the food table at the same time. And I don't know very much, but I know one thing, and that is that the cornbread is gluten-free, because I made it. So, okay. So, I did want to say a few words about Rich. I mean, me talking about Rich to you guys is probably almost superfluous, because you all know him probably easily as well as I did. But I was so deeply involved with Rich in the Super Ferry that that's almost my total context of my connection with him, except that there was so much more. I mean, Rich, I've done some research, and he was a policeman in Berkeley and a police chief in Oregon. He was a sheep farmer, a happy traveler, a bird lover, and a car racer. And this is a man with so many interests and so many things to be proud of in his life. And of course, from my perspective, the Super Ferry and stopping the influx of that number of people and that ship to this island was the high point of my relationship with him, and it was so powerful. I mean, when we went to Rich and Judy's every week, they would cook and serve food and be host and a hostess to this mad horde of people who wanted to stop the Super Ferry. It was one of the most amazing times in life. It was so great. And I remember Rich so well from that. And it was, I mean, he had a hug for everybody every time. And he was just a warm, loving man. And that is my recollection. And I hope yours is as sweet as mine. I want to just look at my notes for a second so I don't forget anything. Oh, when we're finished, this is going to be done in 3 sessions. So when we're finished with this session, somebody will ask everybody to leave the table so that the next group can come in. And you're welcome to stay, but if you have the grass or the place around the outside to lounge and listen to whatever's going on, you're welcome to stay. But we do need the tables afterwards. Okay, let me just look here for 1 second. Okay, now I have a real pleasure. I get to introduce Puna Dasan. And Puna is going to do a pule for us today. And I don't know Pula personally very well, but I know Puna from meetings and being with her at various meetings. And the one meeting that I remember so deeply is the Super Fairy meeting that we had it wasn't a meeting, it was a party actually, at the Barracuda in Honolulu. And the thing that I remember so well, and this has stayed with me, is Puna said when she was talking to this group of mostly Haole people, we had some Hawaiian people there too, some mixed group, but it was mostly Haole people. I thought she said the most wonderful thing, and that was that we are all Hawaiians. If we're here, we are Hawaiian. And that touched me really deeply. So Puna is clearly one of the great teachers on our island, and I will take the pleasure of asking her to do a pule.
So I'm really honored, one, to be able to be witness to the love and support that both Rich, Judy, and their family have from our community. I'm happy to be part of the community, and what I want to say is that word that he used, haole, take it out of your vocabulary. Take it out, because what it means is to have no breath. And that was a reference when the people who came from afar, in their monotone way of speaking, there was no movement in their words. So because of that, ha'ole, yeah, to have no life in your breath or the movement of what you're seeing. Wrong expression. What I did say at that time was ha. So everybody breathe into your hands, lift it up. And so now all of our families are talking to each other. We're becoming family just by our breath. In that word Hawaii, ha is the breath. Rub your oku. That's the wai. We all come from the wai, or the birth waters of our mother. And if you came from someplace else, afterwards, please come let me know, okay? And then Iona Lani is that universal pono, or good. So when we reference Hawaii, we're speaking about the breath and the waters of the universal good. So you see, that is man who is kind. Being Hawaiian is being responsible. And being Hawaiian is being respectful and appreciative. And we use the characteristics of aloha to help to express that. So point to yourself right now and say akahai. Akahai is to be kind. Kind to yourself first so that you can be kind to others. It has to come from a wealth of kindness. So you start with yourself. Being responsible to yourself, like Rich was. He was so thoughtful to everyone, but it came from a place of abundance. He loved with no conditions, and that's akahai. In that word aloha, lokahi is family, and that's what I see here, is family. People who care, people who have come in celebration of this wonderful man and his family, people who matter, who have value, And so lokahi is that. When we lift our breaths up, everybody is saying, oh, I'm related to you through your auntie, brother, sister, cousin. You know how that goes. Everybody wants to have that relationship. That's what it's all about. In that word, lokahi and family, this is what we're talking about, relationship. That was something that Rich was a very good example. He showed us how to live and how to love with no conditions. In that word, aloha, olu, olu. Olu, olu is like really, really delicious. I'm a chocolateholic. Chocolate, where you can't get enough of. And when you think of olu, olu, oftentimes we think of babies. Babies look at you with such innocence in their eyes, and you can't get enough of them. You want them around all the time. Each one of us has had a person like that in our life, where when we think of them, immediately they come to our heart space. That's olu olu. Ha'aha'a is being humble, to realize that we don't have all the answers. That as we go through life, there are going to be people who come and share time with us that may be the smile that we needed that day. It may be that loving touch that we can share with others. Being ha'aha'a is being responsible, respectful, and appreciative, and most especially to have trust. Aho nui is patience. So when we say to everyone, I'd like to have this happen right now. I'd like this to happen immediately. Aho nui lets us and reminds us to slow down. Realize that things, when they're meaningful, it comes at the right time. Being aloha is exactly that. And that was the epitome of this man, Rich. He was aloha in motion. And so when we think of being Hawaiian are people who are responsible, that are going to take care of what we have today, take the best of the past, and all the memories of Rich is the best of the past that we are going to carry and take care of now, and take it into the future. Be a memory of this gentleman and all the things that he stood for and the wonderful things that he did to help to ensure that we have the Hawaii that we have today. So being Hawaiian is exactly that. I am Kanaka. Yes, I am Kanaka. There are a few of us, some of us that are here that are Kanaka. But that doesn't make us more Hawaiian. So when I say, where are the Hawaiians? All your hands have to come up. People who are responsible, who care, and who love with no conditions. That's Hawaiians. So please take that word, ha'ole, out of your vocabulary, because it has no worth. It does not make sense. People who come from a place other than Hawaii or the islands or indigenous people are palani, people that come from the heavens. So you see, we can be a part of this celebration of life by just being, standing in our truths. I'm going to ask you to sing along with me, believe it or not. And all you have to do is repeat what I do, okay? Nobody's going to be over here with a checklist saying, oh, you were out of key. It's more about the heart, and it's what it's saying. In Hawaiian, these were words that at her highest and lowest point, Lili'u Kalani used this as a soundboard for her people. And it says, Ho'okahi puana, ko pu'uwai, Ho'okahi puana, let us all come together as one. Ho'okahi puana, we the people of the heart. And we come together with love. So very simply, you're going to sing right along with me. This is a pule that I like for you to remember. When you're thinking about Rich and thinking about their family, we're one. Ho'okahi. We come together in the celebration of aloha. We are Hawaiians. We love the place that we live, we care for it, and we ensure that it will be here for all the tomorrows. So in this short mele, it goes like this, and you're going to repeat after me, okay? Ho'okahi puana, ha. Ho'okahi puana, ko pu'uai. One more time, and we'll do it together. Take a breath and Ho'okai puana ko pu'ai o ka po'e I aloha e ka lahui. Aloha.
I'm Michael Sterioff, and the first words that come to my mind right now are just, I don't want to say goodbye to Rich. Rich and Judy were my customers, and they became our very dear friends. And Richard was a wonderful man. Everybody knows that. I don't know what I have to say about him that could be any different than anybody else's experience. The man was just a fabulous man, full of heart, much love. He was a big presence in my life. He was more than a brother. He was a loving, caring, wonderful man. And we used to go out all together, all the time go out and eat. I guess we had a food relationship. And when they went out of town, it was like there was a hole in our hearts when they were gone. And then they'll come back. You got time for breakfast? Yes. And just know that, Judy, I love you. And I miss him nowhere near as much as you, but I do miss him. And until we meet again,
But that's because you make it okay for me.
Usually, it's not hard for me to talk. I love to talk. And right now, I don't think there are any words in my vocabulary to express the sense of loss and simultaneously at the same time the sense of nearness that I have with Rich leaving this plane. I know that he is absolutely all around us. It is his loving energy that pulled this off in the face of COVID. Things have come together in a beautiful, beautiful way. And I know it's because the universe loves Rich as much as I do. And Judy and Rich together have been my family since I first moved to the island in 2006. And one of the things that always makes me laugh when I think about Rich was they had this darling little decahedron or whatever it was he called it, house, and up in house lots. And I had been I'd been house sitting for them, and then I moved out and was house sitting for somebody else, and finally, it came to a point in my life where I was ready to rent my own space. And I was so excited. And I came over and I said, Rich, I need to borrow the truck to take some stuff, to get rid of it. Okay, fine, he let me do it. So then, that didn't exactly work out right. But when I took the truck back to him, he was sitting there at his desk and he looked at me and he had this big grin on his face. And I said, why are you grinning? He said, we're moving. And I said, but I just moved in 2 houses down. Why are you moving? What did I do already? And it was because he knew that he and Judy needed a different space to rest and to, grow together in. And I totally understood that. But I gotta tell you, finding out the day that I move in that they're moving out was quite a surprise, and it was just one of the wonderful things that surprised me from time to time about Rich. The capacity he had in his heart for love, forgiveness. He was an amazing man. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
And I was reminding Judy, or asking her earlier if she knows of the quote from Leon Trotsky, and that is, we only die if we don't live on in others. So of all the people that I know, Rich is living on in others. His so many legacies that he's leaving us all, not just a super fairy, but much love.
Aloha, dear friends. This will be speech number 1 of 3. In the beginning, truly in the beginning, Judy was in my life. And she is the one who helped ground the divine idea of unity of Kauai. And she supported me, and I supported her, along with Ron Stover. I'm Suzanne, by the way, for many years, and still we are friends and loving each other. And I actually thought it probably couldn't get any better than that. And then along came Rich. And she told me, because I married a lot of people in those days, that she only put one word into find a partner. And that was spiritual. Boy, I tell you, you ask for what you want and you get more good, more joy. And truly that was the abundance that she so deserved, the abundance of her dear one, Rich. He truly was the most abundant man that I think I've ever met. In terms of this generous spirit of his loving presence, everything was so big and wonderful and possible. What a team. I love you, dear. And thank you for helping ground unity. Thank you for helping ground me from time to time. And I know that this is the beginning of a new kind of good for you. I bless you. I love you. Love, Rich. Okay, that's it for number 1.
Aloha. Velina mai kako. Greetings to all of you on this beautiful day and in the celebration of a wonderful man. Very humble, very kind, and his famous words, much love. So this is Ellie, and this is Kalasara, and we have been asked to do a couple of hulas as requested for Judy, So we're gonna do beautiful Kauai and her request, Aloha Oe. Now we've never danced together before. So for beautiful Kauai, we probably are gonna do our own motions, but we'll try to dance it together in Aloha Oe because we practiced that one together. So Keiko bless all of you on this beautiful day. Enjoy it, celebrate, say loving pule to Judy, and give her strength and comfort during her time of mourning. Sorry, dear. Puka in the heart, yeah? I've been a widow too for over 30 years, and I still have a hole in my heart for my husband. And it'll never go away. But I tell you, one thing I learned about being a widow is you will never know how it feels until it happens to you. That's the way I felt. Yeah, Judy, nobody knows how it feels until it does happen to you. But I also learned, though, now that they're in the spiritual realm. And so you can call them. Call them anytime, and guess what? They can't refuse. They gotta come. So Keiko bless all of us today. Bless our island. Keep us continually protected and safe and healthy and happy. Stay happy, everyone. Aloha. Love you all, and always love one another. Ahuiho.
Beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai, for it's calling, just calling to me. Beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai.
Thanks, you guys. Figured we just had a few minutes, so might as well enjoy some flute music while we wait.
Can you hear me okay? Well, thank you so much to Reverend Kaya for that. I was introducing myself over here, and she said while we were talking, would you like me to play a little flute music while we're waiting to get started? And I said, sure, that would be really nice. I didn't realize she was actually going to play the flute. I thought it was going to come out of the computer. So I was impressed. That is so beautiful. Amazing. Well, we are here today, as I said previously, for a somewhat bittersweet, very bittersweet experience. And I'm going to put the emphasis on the sweet because my remembrance of Rich was so sweet. I remember him mostly, of course, for my connection with him with the Super Ferry and getting that stopped. But of course, Rich was so much more than that. And I do have my notes here. So, I mean, I just made a list of the things he's done in his life. A police officer in Berkeley, and a police chief in Oregon, a sheep farmer, a happy traveler, a bird lover, and a car racer. He was so proud of car racing. And he's even got a bunch of his friends here from the car racing group that he was in all the way up to a few months ago. So, Rich was so much more than the Super Ferry, but that is what he's most remembered for. And one of the things I remember most is going to his house on a weekly basis and having all this food prepared by Judy and Rich. And just this most welcoming feeling and this feeling of wanting to stop the Super Ferry and absolutely not stopping until it was stopped. That he was relentless in what he wanted to get done, and at the same time so kind and warm and loving. I mean, hugs were ready for everybody at all times, and I had to just marvel at his warmth and receptivity to people. It was really wonderful. One of the things about Rich that I really admired was that he was very smart and very analytical. So he could find an issue and find a way to find a solution for it. And that was a very mental kind of intellectual type of capabilities. But he also had this amazing heart. And I think everybody who is in the range of my voice has had that experience with his heart. He's been so welcoming and so wonderful. So what I'd like to do now is welcome Reverend Kaya back. And she's got a real treat for us. She's going to play her beloved instrument, a different one than the last beloved instrument, believe it or not. And she's going to do a poulet for us. Oh, there she is. I lost her.
Did a magic trick there. Who knows where I went? Well, thanks so much for gathering today, you guys. I feel so honored to be a part of this celebration and to contribute, something that's so precious to my heart in celebration and in honoring of Rich and of everybody here who his life has touched and who it continues to bless. And I heard that he has a couple favorite songs and that he's a lover of the trumpet. So we picked these songs especially for him. And the first instrument's actually going to be this flugelhorn. It's a little strange looking, but it sounds beautiful. And I think you'll recognize this song. Rich loved this song. It's a completely different flavor, but it's a lot of fun. And you're welcome to sing or clap along, and I feel like this brings out some celebration. Go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, how I long to be in the number, oh, when the saints go marching in, when Gabriel blows that golden horn, when Gabriel blows that golden horn, oh, how I long to be in that number, yeah. Gabriel blows that golden horn. Because I lost mine when I was 10 in a car accident, and he didn't have any problem with being a surrogate fake dad. No ownership, no worries, whatever. It was just about chit chat and fun things that he liked to do. And part of the reason I wanted to talk today, and I was hoping that others would too, is that we all have our rich, and we don't necessarily know what your rich is, because he had different relationships with all of us. And he was, of course, all about his blue beater car. You guys know? Do you know? He raced every time they had these races on Sunday here over at the stadium. And it was like once a month or something. I don't know, maybe someone will talk about it. I don't even know if all those race cars that were parked down there this morning was on purpose or not. But they were beautiful, and that's all about Rich. He loved cars. He would come over. I have this beater Miata. I've always had a beater Miata since I came to the island. And he would just come over and stand by it and sort of, vaguely get turned on. He loved cars, and I love cars, and I love tools, and Rich loved tools. And of course Rich loved Judy, but
everybody else can talk about that, and Judy really should come up here and talk about that, because I think he loved Judy like nobody I've ever seen love another woman, you know? He knew how to love, and he probably learned it from a lot of screw-ups, and he really knew how to do it, and she felt it, and she knows it to this day, and so, you know, he was about cars and love and motorcycles, like that one that so rudely went by, and loud tools, and greasy things, and being under his car and getting stuck and someone helping him, just on, like really amazing guy. And my dad, you know, blew his thumb off when when I was a kid, just the tip of it. But you know, he was like that rich guy, where Rich was the kind of guy where he just was like so into what he was doing, and he might hurt himself a little bit, but it didn't matter, because that's what this life was about. Rich lived life fully, and he believed in much love all the time, much love. He would tell you much love. And I don't know what maybe his family may have experienced. Sometimes I wonder what he was like as a younger father, and I'm hoping that his son and daughter will share a little bit about the Rich that we didn't see, and that all of us can share more about the Rich we did see. And he just really was simple and to the point. Of course, he was all that police guy, and I always wanted to be a policewoman. I showed up one time in a red suit, the police department in Portland, to get a job. Gee, I didn't get the job. But I have worked in prisons. I love justice, and Rich loved justice, and Rich fought for justice. And he fought for justice of nature and justice of people, and the kind of justice that's beyond just paperwork. But he knew how to do the paperwork. And he went to the police department. I'll never forget, he said, I went to the police department, I told them how they could save money, told them what they could do and how they could fix everything, and I guess they're not going to do it. But, you know, they probably will now that he's dead. And this morning, I know I'm rambling, but this morning, I did some of the jackfruit with Sandy, and I got all teary, and I said, dang, Rich, I'm sorry that we didn't do this while you were here. And I think that every time, you know, why don't we have parties for people before they go? But it's all right. He's here. I know he's here. And I also know that he is doing amazing work, if not resting, to do the amazing work that he'll do as our spirit guide. And he'll forever be my spirit guide, because I'll always hear much love and different strokes for different folks, and probably a lot of other just really simple, loving things. And a lot of times it was just quiet. He would just be quiet while I rambled on. So here I go, and thank you very much, Rich. Love you guys.
Yeah,
grateful to be here for my dad's celebration of life. I've enjoyed coming over here for the past 17 years. Shortly after my dad got here, I was coming over for a special blessing ceremony. And I found out when I got here it was a wedding ceremony, and they wanted me to do it. So I've enjoyed coming here, spending time with my dad and Judy. And I'm so grateful that he got to enjoy this island that he loves so much. And the life that he's had with Judy was just so precious. And she was the love of his life, and she brought so much joy to him. And that was like the last quarter of his life. And mostly this celebration is about that last quarter of his life. But I think I'm the person that has known him the longest that's here today. My baby brother is here, so I've got a couple years on him. And I just thought you might enjoy hearing some stories about what he went through before he got here, before he became the man that Judy and all of you fell in love with. Yeah, so I just want to tell a couple stories. But before I do, so I don't forget, these bracelets are from the environmental impact study that he requested that ended up stopping the super ferry from coming here. So somebody just pulled them out of hiding, and they're back there for you to take home. So a little souvenir for you. And before I tell the stories, I've heard a couple people talking about the Richisms, much love and different strokes for different folks, which I just found out where that came from recently. I thought it was like a thing, an American thing, but I guess my dad, for him it was about the motorcycles that he rode. So he would go to the motorcycle races, and he rode a BSA, which was a 4-stroke motorcycle. And at that time, these 2-strokes were coming in from Japan, and his buddies would give him a hard time about riding a 4-stroke. So he always would say different strokes for different folks. But there's another ism that you may not know about. And when he would go into a store and, he would pay, and the person at the checkout stand would say, "Have a nice day." You hear that all the time. Do you know what Rich would do in response to that? How many people ever heard him say? He would grab the person's hand and look them directly in the eye and say, "And you have a nice forever." Just so sincerely from the bottom of his heart. So I just wanted to share another Richism for you. But getting to some of the stories, my dad came to California in 1962, because it was just a month or so before I was born that he left the farm in Iowa. So he grew up on a farm in Iowa, came to California. Shortly after that, he got a job, as you've heard David mention, as a police officer for the Berkeley Police Department. So back in the 60s, I don't know who decided this, but Berkeley was ranked the #1 police department in the country. And in the late 60s, there were lots of riots and protests going on. Gabrielle is like, "Yeah, I was there on the other side." But there were a lot of the protesters that would call the police officers pigs. And my dad and the other Berkeley police officers embraced that title, and they made it into an acronym. And that acronym, they had a little pin with a pig on it, and it said pride, integrity, and guts. And so that's how he served on the police department. That's how he served in his life, with that pride and integrity and guts. So he was proud to serve on the #1 police department in the country, and for him it was a community service at all the different jobs he had as a police officer. And it took guts to show up when there's rioters throwing bricks at them. And one time a brick hit his hand against whatever he was holding and just totally mangled all the bones in these 2 fingers. So he could never make a fist again. Not that he was a fighter and needed to make fists, but it did take guts. And integrity is something that you probably have all witnessed in him. And, you know, he was always a law-abiding citizen, upholding the laws that he was, you know, living by the laws that he was upholding, except for one. So when I was a kid, and he'd be driving the family station wagon, sometimes he was driving so fast because, you know, he was a trained driver to catch the bad guys, so he was always driving fast, and sometimes the red lights would come up behind him and he would get pulled over for driving too fast. And he would always pull out his driver's license that was in this fancy little wallet that was right opposite his police badge. So when he would show the police officer his driver's license / police badge, they would just say, "Have a nice day." I don't think back then he was saying "have a nice forever," but he probably felt it. So, you know, he mostly had integrity and followed the laws, but he did like to drive fast, as you know. We had the race car club here. He started racing autocross in the early 60s. He was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco one day. I'm not sure what he was there for, but he saw these cars driving around in the parking lot. He's like, "What are they doing over there?" And they said, "Well, that's autocross." He said, "Well, how does somebody do that?" And they said, "You just pay your $5 and you can do it too." So he did. And I guess shortly after, he found out he won second place and he was hooked. So he was so grateful that autocross came to the island, because at that time, he couldn't race or ride his motorcycles anymore, which was another passion. So he left the Berkeley Police Department and bought a motorcycle shop. And he had Triumph and BSAs and Hodakas. I think they were all 4-strokes. And he started racing motorcycles. So after my parents got divorced, us kids would go visit Dad, who was living in a motorhome at the time, and we would go to motorcycle races so he could go fast. But he had that motorcycle shop for a while, and he probably would have continued that the rest of his life, but there was a big recession and the motorcycle shop failed, so he went back to police work for a while, and he was in Santa Rosa, and his blood sugars kept going up and up and up and up, and they said that normally you have stress that kind of goes like this, a wave. But in police work, yay, motorcycles. In police work, the stress, because of needing guts to do police work, would just keep going up and up and up, and it destroyed his pancreas, and he got diabetes. So he had to get out of police work, and he decided to go back to his roots, to get a farm up in Oregon. And David, it wasn't a goat farm, it was a dairy farm. He had Jersey cows, those ones with the big, beautiful brown eyes. So he had a dairy farm up in Tillamook, Oregon. You've probably seen the Tillamook dairy products in the grocery stores, even around here. So he was a dairy farmer, and he'd get up every morning and every evening, 5 o'clock a.m., p.m., and he milked his cows every single day. I decided to stay in California, in Danville, with my mom, but my siblings all went up to that dairy farm 26 miles outside of town. First one's on the bus, last one's off the bus at the end of the school day, and had to help take care of all the dairy responsibilities. So after that, he decided to try his hand again at police work. And like David said, he was chief of police in Sheridan. And he tried to get the big, huge, gas-guzzling cars into a smaller car, because in this little town, you didn't need a big car that could chase bad guys. You just needed to have a car that could get around to serve the public. And the city council was afraid to make a decision, so they would defer the decision till the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. And so he loved the police work, but he got fed up with the city council and the politics. So he decided to try something new, and he became a truck driver. And he loved to drive, so he would get in these big cabs, And they would stack 3 or 4 of them on top of each other, and he would drive the new trucks all over the country. And he drove all over the United States and all over Canada and got to see the country, and he loved being on the road, and he loved driving. And then his diabetes got the best of him, and he kind of had a little accident and damaged some of the trucks, and they said, oh, we don't want you to have a license anymore. So he got divorced from his second wife, and he had no more job, and he got on Match.com, and that's how he met Judy. So I just thought you'd enjoy hearing about the eclectic life he had before he came to the island, and you all have experienced some of the wonderful things that he's done here and the travel that he's got to enjoy, seeing the world with Judy. And I have so much gratitude for the love and joy that she's brought to him, and making the last quarter of his life the best time of his life. Thank you, Judy.
Obviously, I want to thank everybody for coming, and it's just so inspiring to see everybody here and tell the stories and just see how much impact Richie had on everybody here. It is very inspiring. Most of you don't know me, but anybody that does know me, they know that I don't say a whole lot, and I don't usually speak my mind too much. And of course, my sister spent nearly her entire life in college and is a communications major, so don't expect as much from me. So, and I mentioned Richie's name, and I got a few thoughts in my head. I'll try and get them out the best I can. But I often call my father Richie, and that's sometimes strange for a child to call their parents by their last name or by their first name. And I just wanted to say that it's because we were more friends than anything else. We had a unique relationship that was more like brothers or friends. There wasn't a lot of, there wasn't much demand for respect like parents sometimes have. It was very much a mutual respect that was given and exchanged very freely. We did things together like friends or brothers, so much more than a parent-son relationship. So I just wanted to kind of share that I often call him Richie, other than Dad or Father. Or I call my brother Kirk. I don't call him brother. I call my friends by their names. That's why I do that. So I kind of wanted to say that. I also, seeing Richie's significance to all of these people makes me think of kind of big picture, and I don't know, I hope to be kind of a humble person, and I don't think of myself of having a lot of impact on a lot of people, and it kind of comes down to perspective. If you zoom way out in life and look at the big picture, out to the planet or to the universe, we're all so tiny and insignificant, and I feel that way a lot. But the more you zoom in, you see, especially with Richie, how much of an impact he made on his community. And you zoom in even further and you see the impact that he makes on individual people. And with Judy, the impact that he's made on you and the impact that you've made on him is so significant. And I think that's something that we can all do is, when you think you're important and you think you're significant, zoom out a ways and kind of gain that humble perspective on the big picture of everyone's lives. That big picture, we're not very significant, But when you zoom in to the people you love and the people that you see every day, you can gain that significance. And maybe just one more small thought, and Monet touched it on just a little bit, but I had a same kind of feeling in my head that this last quarter of Richie's life with Judy were truly the best years of his life. Monet touched on all the different things he did in his life, but and they had purpose, and I don't mean it in a bad way. But before Judy, he was kind of wandering around aimlessly in life. He did so many different things and never really found his groove until he met Judy. And it was just such a blessing for him to find a home and a heart with Judy. It means so much to me that he found that and was able to spend that last quarter of his life in such a secure, loving place. Thank you, Judy. That's all I have. Thank you again so much, everyone.
And we dedicate this to Rich. And thank you, Rich, for being the humble, gentle warrior that you have been for us and a beautiful role model. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you so much, Isa. Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to meet Rich, but I've been hearing really wonderful stories about him and his impact and work here on Kauai, and so it feels really sweet to be here to celebrate his life with you all. This song is called Blaze, and yeah, I'm Maisha, this is Craig, and thanks for having us.
Got a fire deep inside me. When it burns, it's like a raging sky. I keep feeding it my oxygen, and before I know it, the whole world is on fire. So let it blaze, flame that will take down this beast. All our rage for systemic tyranny. Let it blaze, spark us into action. Fire says, better use me wisely. There's a rage inside for injustice as old as we have ever known. Pain is deep and runs like a stream, for lives lost to racist regimes. Giving my fire is a blinding light. For equality I fight. Know it's my strength, but love through the hate. May peace grow like a let it grow from the ashes of this fire. Let it be known we will build on strength we need. Grow peace, oh, peace, like a sage in the garden. Oh, peace, peace of mind, peace of life, peace of heart. Let us grow peace, like a sage in the garden. Peace of mind, peace of life, peace of heart. Peace of mind, like a sage in the garden.
Thank you.
The next song we're going to play is it's a cover song coming out of Colombia. It's an Afro-Colombian song played from the Caribbean region. It's a style called cumbia. It's folklore. It stems from West Africa. And we're actually missing a drum, so we kind of need everyone to help us. Are you all willing to help us? To be that third drum that would be in here? The drum would be called the llamador. So if you speak Spanish, you know it's kind of like the caller. It's the one that kind of holds everyone together. So, if everyone could just give me the 2, 4, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Just keep that nice and steady. Boom. Yeah. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's give it up for the original generation of the Love Tribe.
already. Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. Ika ona ono. Ika lipo. One fond embrace. Aho ia. Until we meet again. Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. Until we meet again.
I love you, Camp Rich.